Can I see it? Second one, huh? Yeah. Yeah, very good. Yeah. You see? Do you have view there?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Many may be wondering what it takes to be an entrepreneur. How can I be as successful as Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, or Mark Zuckerberg? What are the steps and challenges that I must face and go through to be a successful entrepreneur? There must be many questions that you have now in your mind and not sure how and where to start. And by the end of this event, we hope that you will be able to bring back some ideas to start up with. Before I invite our first distinguished speaker, Mr. Rahman, MD Asia, Angel Dan, to give the talk, give me a minute to introduce him. Mr. Rahman is the founding vice president of the Malaysian Business Angel Network. And aside from Malaysia, has created and run angel networks across Asia, working with entrepreneurs, startups, and SME owners to raise the capital into high growth. As a venture manager, Ryo often takes a hands-on role supporting capital raising, establishing a growth-focused culture, executions of the commercializations and growth strategy, and stakeholder management. Specializing in the commercializations of innovations and technology, and development and management of early-stage ventures. As a venture manager, Ryo is personally involved as a shareholder in a number of early businesses across Asia. Without further ado, let us give a warm welcome to our first speaker, Mr. Ryo Nariman, to present his topic, Building for Six.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Really want me to use the mic? Alright, now can you hear me? Do you want to hear me? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Alright. Yeah, I don't really want to stand behind this, for the next half hour. Maybe I should put it on. Yeah, I'm really loud and obnoxious. Do I really need a mic? No.
Oh.
Sweet. Oh. I spent 8 years in academia. I'm used to talking in other people's sleep, right? That's what we do as academics. We talk in sleep, right? No? All right. So, you heard the intro. I'm not an entrepreneur. How many of you want to be entrepreneurs? Have you asked your mom? What did mommy say? No way! I'm not putting you through university and then you give it all up and start your own business, right? Well, my background is building businesses, right? So I used to be involved in university. I used to take research, intellectual property, turn it into a product, build a business, raise money, and take it to market. Right? So I've taken a number of different businesses to market, mainly from a lot of university research. What I do at the moment is basically work for myself. Instead of working for investors, I do it for myself. I see good startups that I like. I mentor them, I work with them. If there's interest, I'll invest, I'll get them ready, I'll build them, and hopefully they'll sell for 20 billion US dollars, right? Like WhatsApp. How many of you have WhatsApp? How many of you knew they got sold for 20 billion US dollars? How many of you want to do that? All right. So what I'd like to share with you guys is just a few things you need to think about, right? If you're wanting to build your own business, what do you need to think about? This is in theory. This is stuff that I've seen, I've done, and I'm doing now, right? So what do you guys need to think about? There's a body in Malaysia that tries to get angel investors investing in startups. So I'm helping build fundamentals. If you want to build a business that's actually sold, you need a few key things. It doesn't matter whether it's research, which is really, really early stage. It doesn't matter whether it's a startup, we have a great technology platform, or an idea. Same things apply. You need the fundamentals, right? So I look at it from an investor's perspective. How many of you think you're unique or special? Come on, put your hand up if you think you're unique or special. You're not. Your mommy lied. You're special. Right? So that's the first thing you need to understand. So what do we look for as investors? Well, everyone thinks it's the technology. It's not. No one cares about the technology. Like most of you guys here don't look like you've ever shaved. You're 12. He's 6. You guys are very lucky. You have Chinese genes. Very, very lucky. My friend in Hong Kong, he looks like he's 35. So we go out for drinks. He'll ask the girls, "How old do you think I am?" They'll say 35. They look at me. They say 55. I'm 40 years old. Right? You know, people think it's about the technology. It's not about the technology. I'm an engineer. The technology doesn't matter. If you want to build a real business, there's a lot of other things you need to think about, right? Have you got a good team? How big is the opportunity? How much money are we going to make? Does it actually work well? Who else is going to come into the market? Right? It's not about the technology. It's about everything else. This is just a summarized list. It goes on and on. So if it's not about the technology, what is it about? The first is, does it actually work? Can you do what you say you can? If you have a piece of technology, if you have a platform, does it work the way? Will it give me value? At the end of the day, will it save me time? Will it make me money? How many of you play Candy Crush? Come on, guys, I know all of you do. None of you all put your hands up. It's a girl's game, but you all do. Right? Candy Crush is turning over $1 million US a day. $1 million US a day. So what's that a year? How many math and science majors and engineering majors here? Any of you doing engineering? Okay, see, I like these guys. He's like, you. Okay, so good for it, huh? Good for it. So do the math, right? $250 million a year in revenue. And it's a simple game. But they've designed it perfectly because they know what their users are looking for. Something that will capture a bit of time, something that's a little bit challenging. You guys are all very young. So for the old people in the room like me, we all remember Tetris. Young guys didn't know what that is. And that's what Candy Crush is, right? It's pretty colors, Tetris, same thing. But what colors are the fruit, the game? What color is it? Bright red. There, see someone who didn't put a hand up but doesn't play. Bright red, bright yellow, bright green. Why? They know it captures our view. We like as people to see things that are very visually stimulating. I've never played the game. I'm too old for that sort of stuff. But I've seen it. You know, four yellow things come together and it says, "Wow, amazing." Right? Especially your generation. You like to be told you're good, right? You know, you did a good job. Wow. And then what happens if you get to a level and then you don't make it? You want to continue. Like they built that product because they know exactly what their customer wants. Right? There's a bit of enjoyment, a bit of engagement. I'm talking about here. Does it work the way you feel it will? Does it add value to the customer? Who's going to pay for it? Not once, but continuing. How are you going to make money out of the business? That is the last thing. How will you actually turn it into a business? So let me guys ask you this. I usually have chocolate that I give away, and I forgot to bring it today, because I know you guys are all poor, hungry students, right? So, out of these three, which is the most important? Will it deliver value? Will someone buy it? Or will it? Which is the most important of those three? Value? Who said value? You're not far off. It's very important. Someone said something else? Customer? It's customer. If you don't have a customer, you don't have a business. Come and see me later. I'll buy you a chocolate. Alright? It's about the customer. If you do not have a product that delivers value to someone who's willing to pay for it, you do not have a business. And that's what most startups get wrong. They focus on the technology product. So I see 400-500 startups a year, right? You know, pitch to me. I do a lot of mentoring for free, happy to give advice. And they say, "Oh, my product does this. Here are the features. Here's the," you know, it's like, who cares? Who's the one in this world that is going to love you no matter what you do? Who's the one person that will love you no matter what you do? Not parents, no, mom. Mom carried you for 9 months. She's going to love you in 2 chocolates. Mom, she's even writing it down, 2 chocolates. Right? Mom loved you. Mom loves you no matter what you do. You say to your mom, Mom, what do you think about my idea? What is she going to say? Awesome. You come to me and I'll say, what were you smoking? You know, it's like, you got to be kidding, right? You have to build a product for more than just mommy or daddy. Is it scalable? Because if it's scalable, that's where it makes money. I wish I put the graph in. There's this wonderful graph that looks something like this for Facebook user, right? From about 8-9 years up to about the year 4 or 5, it was 125 million. You guys know what WhatsApp looks like against that? Right, they've got over 450 million users actively using it. While I was waiting, I was shooting out 5 or 6 messages to my wife, colleagues, partners, WhatsApp. Right? Who's going to actually use it? If you don't have someone, your product or service, you do not have a business. You have a pretty piece of technology. Right? So, you guys are all young and rebellious, right? How many of you have a tattoo? Come on, be honest. How many of you want a tattoo? Okay, so young rebellious guys. Yeah, I've got a machine for you. Anybody interested? Self-tattoo. Chicken. Right, so it's not about the product. I hope you guys get that. I'm hammering that home. The product does not matter. Does it add value? Will someone pay for it? And therefore, can we turn it into a business? Right? So here's the reality of the startup. Out of every 10 businesses that actually raised money, and 1 out of 10 actually raised. So out of every 100 companies, startups, 10 will raise. Out of every, this is the success rate. 1 to actually win. But 4 or 5 are called the living dead. They cover their costs, they make a bit of money, they cover their costs. You're never going to turn it into a full-scale, high-growth business. So you need to understand the numbers are against you. I had a deal fall over because of love. This was $500,000. We got a company ready. Someone invested $500,000. The guys were based in Shanghai. Going to fly the investor over from Japan. This was 2 years ago. You guys remember what was happening in China between Japan and China about 18 months, 2 years ago? They had the riots, the whole anti-Japanese. Yeah, that $500,000 deal fell. There's so many reasons why businesses fail, right? Especially startups. So it's just about understanding it's a hard game. You're not going to make a lot of money fast. Very few can do. This is one of the best statistics I like. You've all heard of Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram. What was their valuation? $1 billion. How much money were they making? 0. How many started there? 20. Right? Here's the real figure. 1 out of 5,000 startups actually get sold for $100 million. And that's 1 out of 5,000 US figures. What do you think the figures are here for Asia? Yeah, not that strong. Right? So my point is it's not an easy game. It's a tough game. So what do you need to do to make things work? You want to buy this? It's good, right? It just sucks if you're a person sitting to the other side, right? The little soup flowing into your lap. It's not about the product. I hope you guys get that. So what is it about? Right? If you look at where you build value in a business, this is what it looks like. Your idea is not worth much. The idea is only 1%. If any of you think you have an amazing idea, come to me, I'll buy it for you at a great rate of 100 million. That's all it's worth. Your idea is worth nothing. So where does the value come from? How do you take that idea and turn it into a business? Then, how do you make it happen? That's the hard work, right? They say it's 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. It's the hard work and effort. When I see startups who say to me, I'm an entrepreneur, obviously I'm not very cool, right? So I'm not interested in being cool. I'm too old. But when they say, I'm an entrepreneur, it's like, it's nothing sexy about being an entrepreneur. In door B next to mommy's room 8. Right, that's your office address, right? next to mommy, that's where you sleep at home. Oh, it's hard work, right? Entrepreneurs. That's why I can't be an entrepreneur. I cannot imagine doing the same thing, building the same business for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. I would blow my brains out. I couldn't do that. I am amazed at their passion. So I just want to make that point. First, it's not about the product. Two, it's about how you execute. You ask any investor, they'll say, great idea. Who's the team? How are they going to turn this into a scalable business? Because if you don't have good people, they don't not committed, it's not going to work. Right? This is one of my favorite quotes. One of the world's smartest men, by Albert Einstein, once said, if I had 60 minutes to solve a problem upon which my life depended, I'd spend 45 minutes planning, 10 minutes reviewing, 5 minutes doing. What do you think he meant by that? Don't be shy. I'll count to 3 and I'll pick someone if you don't volunteer. It's a U.S. military approach. I'll count to 3 and I'll pick you. 1, 2, 3. The guy, oh, yep, you. Because you told your friends or you. Hey, don't sit in the front next time. Seriously, so what do you think he meant? And if you don't have a good answer, you can get someone else to answer it. Yeah, it is. It's that simple. Because entrepreneurs like to jump in and get stuff done. Think about it. If any of you are seriously interested in getting into startup, you should. How many of you seriously are interested in trying to build your own business? Google Lean Startup, Lean. There's a lot of hype and BS around it, but really the concept of Lean is plan, design, test, plan, design, test. Right? I've seen guys who put their house on second mortgage, and they show me this product, and I'm like, no one's gonna buy it. You know, so figure out what you want to do before you spend mommy's money, right? So what do you need? You need a really good business model, and I'll show you what I mean by this. How are you gonna make money? What makes you so special? I had a guy come to me, they were looking to raise money, and basically it's a social network, right? And so I'm like, okay, so it's another Facebook set up here in Malaysia, okay? Oh, no, but we're different, he said. So what's different? We're orange. I'm like, okay, this conversation is not going well. Facebook is blue, we're orange, but maybe we're geolocation based. Okay, I get that. What's one of the new features that Facebook has just brought out? Find your friend next door, right? They've added geolocation to their capability, right? What makes you special? If you're trying to do what everyone else is doing, in Hong Kong, you know, you're just another cha-cha tank, right? Just another hawker store, right? What's going to be so different about you? Bubble tea, how many of you like bubble tea? It's not that cool. I see all the old ones, it's not that cool anymore. 5 years ago, everywhere you go in Hong Kong, bubble tea, bubble tea, bubble tea, bubble tea. Even in New Zealand. How many of you heard of New Zealand? Right, we have, that many people, that many sheep, right? We had bubble tea stores coming up in New Zealand. Everyone's the market fast, someone else is going to get there before you. So how many of you have WhatsApp? Hands up. How many of you have WeChat? Yeah. And why is there such a strong Chinese-based presence with WeChat, do you think? How many of you use it to communicate outside of Malaysia? A lot of my friends in Hong Kong will use it to communicate with their Chinese relations back in China. WeChat is done very, very well. Who picks out WeChat? Who owns WeChat? Who owns WeChat? Tencent, right? So it's owned by one of the big boys over there, right? You've got to get to market this. How many of you have Kakao Talk? Kakao what? Right? They've got about 2.5, 3 million subscribers here, and they're picking up as well. So there's so many players, right? Who's going to be the dominant one? Well, WhatsApp, funnily enough, it's not used that strongly in the US. It's used a lot more outside. So there's a lot of people doing it. You've got to get to market first. You've got to be global. Hong Kong, 7.5 million people. Singapore, 2.5 people. You know, tiny countries, right? Okay, there's 5.5 million in Singapore, but it's a very small city. Same in Hong Kong. Malaysia, you're lucky. You have about 30 million. Same language, same currency, same legislation, two large land masses. You can make good money here, but you can't be a big business if you're in the IT space, if you're in the software play here. Okay, you've got to go outside of Malaysia. And you've got to sell your story. You've got to get people interested. So these are the things that I see in every single success. And when we invest and we get involved, this is what I'm looking for. All right? How do we actually find these elements to increase the likelihood of success, reduce the likelihood of failure? So business model. You guys know NASA shut down their space shuttle, right? This was their last attempt to raise money. Sponsor the space shuttle, right? I'm joking, obviously. So how are you going to make money, right? That's the first question. Right? All of this stuff, you do business 101, this is what they'll tell you, but it's not. This is a business plan, right? I've seen 40 pages. I have never seen in my entire life a business plan work out. In my entire life, whether it was investing, whether it was startup, whether it was in a business. It's not about the plan, it's about the model. How do you make money? How do you turn your idea into money? AirAsia, how many of you floated? What's their business model? Cheap flight, right? How much does it cost to go to the Gulf? $2.50, right? If you don't have 10-cent coins, you're in trouble. The guy, for real or not? I'm joking. They actually tried this in, I think it was Ireland. One of the budget airlines actually tried to charge for toilet use, and there was so much pushback that they decided, okay, that's taking it too far, right? Facebook. How does Facebook make money? How many of you on Facebook? It's not that cool anymore. You guys are what, early 20s? No, seriously, how old are you guys? Yeah, very early 20s. What you're finding is the group behind you, they're moving away from Facebook. So Facebook is not that cool anymore. And that's one of the reasons why they started to look at what else they can do and how they can maintain the value of their existing user base. Right? So how does Facebook make money? Advertising, yeah. What's the other opportunity? Games. So what they've actually done is they don't make the games, but they've said I've got 1.2 billion people, customers potentially. It's a platform. If you can turn it into a game and sell it to them, so they charge 30 cents out of every dollar you make. So that's how you can make money. There's many different ways. There's Skype. How many of you have Skype? I'm curious. Right. How many of you pay for Skype? So just me. The first thing I do when I get off plane, and I travel 2 weeks here, 1 week Hong Kong every month, and somewhere else. I'm based here. First thing I do, I find a Wi-Fi network, click onto it, Skype, call home. Right? Skype to phone. It's cheap. Voice over IP. So they get you interested. An example is like waiting for hope. You get us interested, and now there's an extra level of service we can offer you. You've got to figure out what your business model is. How are you going to make money? And the simpler it is, the more likely it is to succeed. Like Dell, very simple. You want the Dell, you pick up the phone, or you order online. Order goes straight to Dell, and they'll make it and ship it straight to you. No middleman. You keep the cost. Reduce the cost for you, or make more profit, or do both. Right? You've got to understand how you're going to make money. This is the one question that you've got to think about. I'm an engineer, and I haven't even talked about the product. How are you going to make money? Right? Yes, keep it simple and succinct. Right? Short to the point. This is the US model for tax. You pay tax, right? So this is the new model that they're coming up. Because they ran into trouble in the US, right? Because of the financial crisis. So this is the new model for tax collection. It works, right? I'm obviously joking. You guys are thinking, oh, is it real? Is it not? I'm joking. You've got to be different. I see so many Me Too's. Who cares? No one really cares. Right? Google. I'm going to ask you this because I'm going to be really old. How many of you have heard of Alta Vista? Oh, that's old guys put up our hand. Look at the young ones. The young ones are like, what? Alta Vista was another search engine, right? Long gone. Ask Jeeves. Google was the last to market, not the first. Bing Bing, bing, bong, long gone. Right? Bing doesn't exist. I mean, not many. Most expensive piece of real estate in the world is, I don't know if they valued it. How many of you use Google? Come on, you guys get all your answers from Google. Don't guess me. I know that, Google answer for exam paper, right? I know how it works, man. I ran an MBA program before. I know how it works. There's a business in the US where they sell answers online. Great. But this is Malaysia, right? I asked a friend, do you have copyright? He said, well, hey, copyright, write the copy. So, Google is probably the world's most expensive piece of real estate. You open the page, what do you see? Clean. Just Google, box, few links at the top. Clean. I think you exactly what the edge was. Technology, speed, and accuracy. Does anybody know what this is? Don't say t-shirt because I'll throw this bottle at you. Yes, it's a t-shirt, but what is the purpose of this t-shirt? Sorry? Three chocolates. It's a travel t-shirt. How many of you speak Swahili? So, if you're in another country and you need to go to the toilet, you don't say, right? Like, what's wrong with this guy? So what do? Question? Toilet. Question? Food. Like, what makes you so special? It's a travel t-shirt. You don't need. Apps are out there at the moment. How many of you have an app on your iPhone, Samsung, whatever? How many of you got apps? How many of you pay for any apps? Yeah, see, there we go. We're cheap Asians. We don't pay for anything. No business model there. Right? It's about 3 million plus with all the platforms. That's the world you live in. Right? What makes you stand out? There are apps for everything. What makes you so special? And that's what you got to figure out. Right? How do you actually be the pink flamingo that stands out? What makes your app so cool? Okay. So what makes you so special? How do you get to the market? This is the biggest problem for most startups. I'm going to make a new website and people will come to it. Doesn't work that way. Right? So how do I actually go and sell? Very simple. I'll let you guys read this. This is from one. How do you read that? Tell me what he's saying. What do you think he's saying? Your students, you better have thoughts. Your mommy and daddy is not going to be very happy if you don't have any thoughts. Just to say to me, I just need 1% of China. Right? How many people in China? Lots. Okay, but 1.2, right? I just need 1%, and that's it. Where are you gonna find that 1%? What do they look like? How much do they spend? How technically savvy are they? Right? Most startups don't know their customer. You've got to know your customer and how you're gonna sell to your customer. I want to know your customer's spending power, their decision making, who makes the decision. In the house, in a family, who makes 95% of the decisions? Mother. Seriously. Most often the father gets involved when it's big capital. House, vehicle, those sorts of things. Where does most marketing and advertising dollars go? Who do they target? Mothers. Ask questions. Right? You've got to know very well who your customer is so you can sell to them. Right? The next thing you have to figure out how to be global. This is the world as the US looks at it. This is my favorite. New Zealand down at the bottom, right? That's where Xenia Warrior Princess came from. You cannot be a scalable tech business if you're just selling in Malaysia. Right? It is too small a market. You have to look at Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore. Because you need to be big enough and sexy enough for someone on the other side of the world to come and buy you out. Right? So how do you become scalable? You need good people. Does anyone see a problem with this? Now, if you don't see a problem with this, I'm going to tell you a VC to fail every single one of you. You don't see a problem with this side? Right? You need good people. And in Malaysia, that's a challenge because just like Hong Kong, people want to work in the corporate world. You know, good job, stable, those sorts of things. I wasn't joking. When I see a startup, a young guy, right? Hong Kong, Malaysia, or Singapore. First thing I say to them is, what does your mommy think about you giving up a corporate job and being a startup? If the mummy's unhappy, then I'm happy. Because there's pressure on you to deliver. Right? It's hard. You need good people. It's different. Every market is different. Malaysia, I've been here 2 years. It's a fascinating place. How business works, how things work. I've learned so much. Lost a lot of hair. Right? It's not like Hong Kong, not like Singapore. Every country is different, right? How many of you like to buy that product? No? Okay, what about this one? No? It's new and improved. Still no. Right? Every market is different. You need to understand what's the market like, the culture like, the spend like, right? You can't start in Singapore and think it's going to work. Indonesia, very similar language, but very, very complex market, very different. And here's the last thing you need to think about. I'll let you read this. Lucky Bob, right? Bob's an opportunist. You've got to sell your idea. You have to convince customers. You have to convince partners. You have to convince staff to work with you. So you need to have very, very Sales Central, the market. Yeah, I love this. Only in Malaysia. I absolutely love this. I'm like, I have to find my size. You know, it's just spectacular, right? So, where do most people get it wrong, right? This is not a situation you want to be as a startup. Basically, they focus on the technology. You see all the companies who said, "Wow." I love you guys. I'm the old friend. It was him. It wasn't me. It was him. Right? Jet engine, racing cars, racing car wheels. Where's the brake? I haven't really thought that far. It's not about the product. It's not about the technology. It's about how you make a real business. If you don't make a business, you burn your cash very quickly. Right? How do I make money? Who's going to buy it? What makes me so special and unique? How do I become a real regional player? And how do I actually sell my business? Right? Those are the things that you want to think about. With that, I'll hand it back to the MC.
Thank you, Mr. Ryo. I would like to ask Mr. Ryo to remain on the stage for the souvenir presentation. We would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Ng Swee Chin to present a souvenir to Mr. Ryo as a token of appreciation.
Blank check, blank check. Thank you very much. Wait, I'm from Hong Kong. You must do this on the front. Oh yeah.
Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Ng and Mr. Ryo. It is indeed a wonderful and inspiring sharing sessions by Mr. Ryo. We hope that this talk really helped all of you to make the first step in your journey to become an entrepreneur. Ladies and gentlemen, next sessions will be regarding to IBM Global Entrepreneur Program. Build a business around the Smarter Planet market opportunity, where we will learn how this program can support entrepreneurs in their startups. Our distinguished guest speaker for this talk is Mr. Long Fong Yi, Manager, IBM Ecosystem Development, IBM Software Group, IBM Malaysia. Allow me to introduce him first. Mr. Long Fong Yi was the pioneer member of the team in Asians, providing technical assistance to independent software vendors. His team grew into Virtual Innovation Center and became the fundamental to the inception of IBM Innovation Centers in Malaysia, Vietnam, and Philippines. He managed the team and built the 3 physical and 1 virtual centers. He has 15 years in IBM, primarily in a business partners ecosystem. Ladies and gentlemen, please put our hands together to welcome Mr. Long to present this talk.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. So, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Fong Yi. I run this business unit in IBM called Ecosystem Development. Okay. And it is a new business unit that we established about a year ago. What was the name? It is called Ecosystem Development because we work with different types of people in the ecosystem. So traditionally, we work with companies that build solutions. Universities to build skills, right? So working with Dr. Ms. Lin, and the students here to build skills in IBM technology. So now we are to bring the next startup to a global reach, to a global market like what Ryo has mentioned now. So in terms of entrepreneurs, we are also very selective. We are looking for companies or ideas that can make the planet smarter. So IBM has an initiative, we call it the Smarter Planet. Okay, we want to make life better for people. So for example, smarter traffic, smarter water management, smarter electrical management, things like better food, smarter transportation. So we are looking for companies like this to work with because traditionally, you all know IBM, right? I hope you know I asked this question because the other day I spoke to students in secondary school. They don't know what is IBM. We need to do some awareness in those areas in the youngsters. So traditionally, people think that IBM is a server company, right? We sell servers, which is true maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago. The company is a 100-year company. We are a 100-year company. Now, our biggest revenue stream comes from software and services. So we are not just providing hardware servers anymore. And the other time also, someone also says that the reason why we are able to be a 100-year-old company is how old we are, we keep on innovating, keep on transforming. So IBM is not just before that. So IBM is not just a server company. We are now going into software. We are doing things like analytics. We are doing things like security. We are doing things on even cognitive computing. Have you heard of this term? Cognitive computing, natural language processing, able to talk to the computer just using no right? Except that the Apple TV, except that the cognitive computing is very specialized in certain fields. So because of that, when we are into this business of software and services, we need to look for companies that are able to provide this type of solution for us. Solution that is typically not where IBM is. For example, when we talk about electrical management, we don't produce sensor to read your meter, right? We are at the back end on the server side. So that's why we are looking for companies that are able to create a intelligent sensor to collect data, then work with IBM to do the processing and provide a result to the customer. So when we look for companies to help us build a solution for a smarter planet, the three things that we are looking for, the characteristics of companies, are companies that instrumented. That means the companies must be using an instrument. So it can be a sensor, it can be a meter, and it must be interconnected. It needs to connect to each other. And the third thing is that it must be intelligent, meaning that the instrument must be able to provide insights into a behavior. So I will give you a lot of examples later. And these days, this is the current trend in the world now. We call it, I think it's a common term, like our term, it's called CANS, Cloud Analytics, Mobile, and possibly Social. Okay, Social and okay, I didn't follow here. So cloud, I think you all know cloud computing, right? Everything is now in the cloud. People know about iCloud. They know about Amazon Web Services. So for IBM, cloud has always been our traditional business, except that we built a lot of private clouds. So nowadays we are into public cloud as well in terms of a company that we acquired called SoftLayer. Have you heard of this company? SoftLayer? SoftLayer, just now we asked how many use WhatsApp, right? So SoftLayer hosts WhatsApp. So you imagine billions of messages a day, you need that kind of power in the cloud to deliver it. Any one of you heard of Tumblr? You use Tumblr? Very modern. So Tumblr also hosted in SoftLayer. So this is the kind of infrastructure that we are looking for. Then big data. Anyone know what it is? You know what does it mean? I have an attentive students here. What is big data? The way we look at it is like this. When you study in school, you read a lot about structured data. So database has tables, fixed length, your first name, your name has 10 characters, your address has 20 characters. But when it comes to big data, we talk about unstructured data. So things like your Facebook status, your YouTube videos, your tweets, things like that was mentioned just now, right? So then how do you make sense of unstructured data? And they come very fast. So there is millions and billions of videos that was uploaded. Thing and it's unstructured. How do you then make sense of this data? This is what big data is all about. So then, social and mobile. Social and mobile. Maybe you have heard of iOS, you have heard of Android, you have heard of even let's say Windows Phone, right? So then, why is IBM mobile, right? Because we actually have a product that allows developers to develop an app that runs on all three. So you just need to keep one source code, and your app can run on iOS, Android, and Nokia phone. Okay, so that's the value that we bring in on mobile, and not only that, the development, that is just a platform for you to develop. But the IBM mobile strategy is beyond just a platform. We also provide analytics. So we know, for example, how long you spend in an app. And after you spend in one app, what is the next app to go to? So we are able to then gather intelligence and find out your preference. So machine to machine, have you heard of these things? So I'm going to give you a lot of case study now. I will use case study to demonstrate the type of companies that we grow from an entrepreneur side. to the car company. So this machine to machine is an initiative that was launched last year, July, with Spring Network in US. So Spring is like our Maxis, they actually is in telco. So they launched this thing called a connected car initiative. And the idea is that, okay, nowadays you go to car, a lot of time the car has Bluetooth. So you can receive your phone call in your car, right? And can look at it. So looking at connect your car, your Bluetooth is just for entertainment only. But the one that we are thinking beyond this is that each of your parts in the car has a sensor and all this telemetry data to the manufacturer or to the car manufacturer to then tell you, oh, your tire is about time to change, or your engine is about time for maintenance, or your particular brake is now cleaning and you need to change that. So you just imagine the future of connected cars will have thousands of data that is sent out to the cloud. Okay? And this is one technology that we are doing, it's an initiative that we are doing. If you are interested, you can go to this app. All these sensors are gathered and how it works. So we can even then ask company to build apps. For example, this particular one on the bottom right, we actually can build it into a operation center, and the guy in the operation center, let's say the city council or KL, they can just highlight this area. Oh, it's there's no flood, for example. Then whenever car that has this connected car drive near the area, they will know from the sensor. Oh, you are driving into an area that is flooding, so please divert. So that is what the type of application that you can use. The other one here, auto remote and auto viewer. This is also an interesting one where you go into your car, you set your temperature, certain things, certain preference like your volume and things. And all this is saved as a profile. The next time you go rent another car, because in the US it's very common for them to move from cities to cities and they rent a lot of cars. So they land in the airport, they rent a car. So when you rent a car, you can download your profile. That car will actually automatically set your temperature, your volume for you. So this is how the other application of connected car is. Okay, now I will give you some case studies. Okay, this is in Singapore. This is one of our business partner companies that we work with. They are not really entrepreneur. They have been in this business for quite some time. So, how many of you been to Singapore? Not yet. Okay, should go. So in Singapore, if you take the MRT, you can now use a card like our Touch and Go, right? And that card, let's say you alight at an MRT station, but you don't reach your destination, so you can then go on a bus. And when you go on a bus, the card will actually give you certain discount. Okay? Because you are supposed to go to this place, but MRT takes you to this place, then the bus will take you here, so they give you some discount. So the same card can also be used when you drive in a city. So they have that sensor that will charge you when you drive in a city, right? So it's actually not much different from what Touch and Go has, which is just ticketing. But what is interesting by giving less discount. So if you use, but if you take the other route, for example, this other recommended route, the price or the discount is higher, therefore it's cheaper for you. So that's how they do. They gain intelligence from the pattern of people using this transportation, and then they adjust the fare so that they can then control the type of traffic that they can get. So this other partner, this one is in Vietnam. Vietnam. Yeah. So Vietnam is one of the biggest seafood transporter, seafood exporter. So they catch a lot of fish and export it out. And for this particular company, they work with IBM to actually trace the seafood that they capture from the ship to the let's say warehouse for processing and then to the transporter and send all the way to the restaurant. So the moment one particular seafood is not fresh, they know, each company will know, and they can trace it back to the type of transport, the type of warehouse, and the type of boat, and then they can stop all the batches that come from the place. So this is the type of intelligence and the big data that we talk about, right? Okay, this third scenario is a bank in America. This is a very small bank, a state bank, and at the time they were having a challenge competing with all the bigger banks like Citibank. So what they do is then they want to make sure they build a stronger relationship with their customers, and so they came out. They work with one particular business partner company to come up with a solution. This solution is very unique. It's actually a koi pond, koi fishes. So when a customer go into the bank, they can actually see a pond of fishes, and then they can choose. The customer can choose. Okay, I want to open an account, and tap on the floor, and the fishes will then guide them to one of the kiosks. The machine, and in the machine, they will use, for example, their retina eye to then be able to get out the customer data and be able to know, okay, Mr. Customer, I know who you are, and I know you have so much money in the bank, what do you want to do? So this is the type of customer relationship that this bank built with services like this, which is actually quite interesting. So I mentioned all these three companies just now to you. These are all the one example of companies, but they are not the entrepreneurs because they work with banks, they work with Singapore government, so they are the bigger companies. But these are the type of examples that we want to grow within the entrepreneur side. That's why IBM came out with a program called Global Entrepreneur Program. Okay? And in this program, we are targeting companies that are less than 5 years old. So if you are companies that are less than 5 years old, let's say for example, you guys, when you come out, you want to set up your own companies, you are less than 5 years old, you can join our program, and I will tell you about the benefits of this program. Okay, when you join our program, you will get to use our software for development at no cost. So everything is free for you. So for example, just now we talked about the analytics software that you want to use to analyze, let's say, big data. So we have that software for you to use. The other thing you can use is the IBM Innovation Center. So we actually invested in the center, just like your current FACS Entrepreneur Support Center that we have done. So you can go to that center and try on our technology, whether our software, our hardware, and we have technical people to help you look at your architecture, to help you build your solution. The third thing we also provide is a project resource manager. So a lot of times startup, when they started a company, they may not know what that needs to be done technically. They may need help, they may need architectural advice, they don't even know what to start. So Ryo was the one that he mentioned about the business model. He and probably his colleagues are all helping you on building the business model, business plan. Even though now you say business plan doesn't work. Building the business model or building the how you want to go to market. But when you come to IBM, we will then help you on the technology side, to help expedite, spearhead you to become the next entrepreneur. Okay. Later, I will tell you about the IBM's help your company go global. What is new this year? We have launched a new platform called Bluemix. Okay. So IBM Bluemix is a platform for developer and company to. Okay, today, how many of you here are IT people? Okay, quite a number. So when you are doing your final year project, right, you probably need to install your operating system, you need to install you need to do that integration and configuration, right? So with IBM Bluemix, all this is done at the cloud. at the moment you register and you get a system, all this infrastructure, including the platform, is all done for you. You don't have to worry about the technology behind. You just have to worry about the application. To give you an example, so this is traditionally how an IT system look like. Right? You start at networking, then you worry about storage, you worry about servers, you worry about operating system, you worry about the middleware, you worry about the runtime, then you build your data. So as we move towards a cloud-based strategy, all this part here, networking, storage, servers, and virtualization, is all put into the cloud. So you have companies like Azure, Microsoft Azure, and then you have Amazon.com, as well as IBM software. We worry about this. We worry about this virtualization, servers, and storage. But you still, as a developer, you still need to install the middleware, you need to install the runtime, and then you only then build your application and data. With Bluemix, the one that I spoke about, even the runtime and middleware and operating system is all done for you in the cloud. So you just need to build your application and data. Okay? You only worry about your application. So it is something that we launched, and in the future we will even have a cloud place. So it's like an app store for you to feature your app. So a lot of people also ask me, what's the difference? Apple also has App Store, Google also has Google Play, right? The only thing that I want to tell you is that a lot of times the App Store, Apple App Store and Google Play, majority of the apps we are only targeting enterprises. We don't do consumer type of business. Okay, so this is just to say that with Bluemix, if you are familiar with open source, you use Clouded, you use MongoDB, you use JSON, all this type of open source technology, we support as a default. Even Ruby on Rails, if you develop with Ruby on Rails, you also can get all this done for you from the cloud. Again, you just have to worry about the application side. So now let me talk a little bit about SmartCamp. So as part of the entrepreneurial program, you do get access to a yearly competition run by IBM, global competition called IBM SmartCamp. And in this camp, we invite angel investors, we invite venture capitalists to listen to your business model, to listen to your business pitch. And this guy will then provide you mentoring, right? So it actually is a chance that we create for you as a company, if you start as a startup, to meet with a few venture capitalists to actually get advice. I mean, it's not often you get this. So for those who win the regional smart camp, then we will bring them to an 80 level smart camp and finally to a US panel. And along the way, the companies actually get a lot of exposure in terms of press release, in terms of marketing exposure, branding exposure. So I give you an example. We have venture capitalists invested about 65 million into startup companies that were with IBM Smart Camp. The Smart Camp has run for 5 years. Over the 5 years, we have about $65 million invested in this company. So I will give you some case study. Smart Camp 2011 winner is a company in US. They do a revolutionary, but now you may think that, hey, most of the shopping complex already have a parking system. You know how they have, like, clearly they have the red and the green indications rather than a place for you to park. So a lot of shopping complex already does that. But this guy, what they have done is not within the building. They did it citywide, open air parking. So for example, you may be driving to, let's say, certain part of KL, and you want an app. And what they have done is, on top of that, they work with businesses around that area. So let's say you want to go for a restaurant, you make a reservation for 7 o'clock. Then as you drive towards the restaurant, the app will also tell you what are the available parking near the restaurant. So build a model not just on parking management, but on working with restaurants owners to manage this. The second winner is this company called Mode. They are from Kenya, so South Africa. So this company is also very interesting. They did a solution on nano finance, nano financing. So how you all use prepaid, right? Some of you use prepaid, and in Africa, a lot of people use prepaid. Some of them don't even have bank accounts, right? Let's say you think about the farmers in Africa. So they use phone and they use prepaid, and when they don't have credit, what do? They probably have to ride a bicycle or take a motorbike to a nearest town to buy credit, to buy top up. So what this company has done is, if you run out of credit, they will loan it to you. They will loan $3 to you to continue making a call. So the next time you top up, they take 10%. They take 330 from the top up. So you imagine in Africa, this particular Kenya, they have about 20 million people. So and we're not talking about one transaction, right? You may be loaning $3, $3. So out of nowhere, this particular company called Mode is making 10% of all these transactions, and they are multi-millionaires. So now, after they won Smart Camp, just this year we brought them to Vietnam, because Vietnam also has about, and they also need something like this in terms of microfinancing. So this is how it runs. Customer runs out of airtime, they borrow $1. Both actually advance the $1 to them. The customer use the airtime. The next time they top up, they take out 1 cent from them, $1.10. Those two that I mentioned are winners. In 2012, we have a finalist. That means they didn't win, but they were one of the finalists from Singapore. This guy, they have a solution that can detect cancer. Okay, today, if you go to a hospital, let's say, oh, you got lung cancer. So what the hospital does is they take a cell, and when they take a cell, they go to the lab. They have a process called staining, meaning they put some sort of color into the cell, and then they look at the cell itself to see the different shade of color. Oh, if you are dark blue, then light blue, for example. So it's the blue color. Then they will determine, okay, I think you have a stage 2 cancer, okay, because of the darker color. So there is a lot of human error in there, and a lot of human to capture the cell that you extract, and they upload this thing into a cloud, and the service in the cloud will then do analytics on the image, and they can tell with 90% accuracy what stage of cancer you are in. And not only that, they can even tell what is the cause. For example, if you have lung cancer, is it because of you smoke too much, or is it because of hepatitis? So they can even tell to that level. So this is very interesting, but their business model is that they want to sell that equipment. It's not very expensive equipment. They want to sell that equipment to all the clinics, so that now clinics can do lung cell tissue fibrosis. So just imagine they sell to the clinic. Every time you go to the clinic, they do this thing. In 2 days, they can give you a report. So that is their business model. The Smart Camp 2013 winner is a company called L'Oreal Life. That means last year's winner. This company, their solution is like this. They say that in America, more than 60-year-old above, a lot of them take a lot of medicine. Maybe they have a lot of sickness here and sickness there, so they take a lot of medicine. But some of this medicine has side effects, so they have to take other medicine to fight the side effect. So an average US American 60-year-old and above, they take about 8 types of medicine per day. Okay? So what this company has done is that they actually take your DNA, And from the DNA, they will know what sort of medicine work well for you and what sort of medicine they work well for you. And with this solution, they will then be able to give you, they will determine what, they will tell you what medicine, so you don't have to take so many. You only take the one that's relevant. How they work with IBM in this case is that because they're talking about human DNA, so we need to help them, they need a solution to help them in terms of securing their DNA data. So they need to put it on the cloud, they need security so that hackers don't hack it. And lastly, last year's winner was the guy with the DNA solution. We also have a finalist from Malaysia. So one of our companies that we identified in Malaysia became a finalist. And this is a company that what they do is they does landslide detection. So you know Cameron Highlands always have a lot of landslide. So this company, and then the sensor will read the soil movement, the land movement. Every micro inch that you move, the sensor will collect data. And the collected data will then upload to the cloud, and their system will do analytics. And they becoming very dangerous. They can't prevent the landslide, but they are able to tell authorities that it's going to happen in the next 1 to 2 weeks. So this Malaysia company has this solution that we all really like, and we bring him to the smart camp. And along the way in the smart camp, they were featured in the FASC Company magazine. Not only that, after the smart camp, they were contacted by a customer in South Africa who do mining. So South Africa, they do a lot of mining, gold mining, diamond mining, right? So this company was contacted by a customer in South Africa because when you're mining and you're drilling down mountain, they also need to know land movement, right? So just imagine a Malaysian company, because of smart camp, IBM smart camp, they get all this exposure, and now they have a potential customer in South Africa. So that's why I'm here to that we also hope that we can work stronger with the entrepreneur support center in RUC to see how we can identify the next generation idea from all of you. And to join our program is very simple. You just need to be less than 5-year-old company. So you need to establish a company. You need to be less than 5-year-old, less than USD 10 million revenue annually, and you can then enjoy all the benefits that I spoke about. And if you are featured and picked, your idea is good and pick you for a yearly smart camp, you can be like landslide management company, detection company, and get all these global exposure. Okay. Any question, you can talk to me, talk to Melanie, my team member here, or talk to Dr. Ng on this name. You can see how we can, in the next 5 years, grow the next superstar from RUC to be a smart camp finalist or winner for Malaysia.
Thank you, Mr. Long. We would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Ng Swee Chin to present a souvenir to Mr. Long as a token of appreciation. Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Ng and Mr. Long. Mr. Long sharing about IBM Global Entrepreneur Program will definitely help startups. With the assistance of this program and using IBM technology to create smarter planet solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, the next talk will be an interest to everyone because it is concerning about money matters. Every business needs some capital to start up with. Many people has good business ideas to start with, but many also cannot proceed with materializing their business ideas due to lack of capital support or ways to sustain their business model. Is there an effective ways to find and attract investors or angels? Is there any available funding and grants? Right? Let me introduce the speaker of this talk. Key attributes to attract angels and investors. She is Ms. Sashwani Ismail, who is the Initiative Unit Manager of Cradle Fund Sdn Bhd. Ms. Sashwani Ismail is Cradle Initiative Unit Manager. She is the main university liaison and consultant who is responsible in promoting Cradle efforts toward university research commercializations via the University Cradle Investment Program, UCIP Catalyst. She also played a role in implementing unique events and strategy. Apart from officer, assisting researchers to help transform their ideas and prototype into commercially viable venture. She is currently one of Cradle speakers for the local universities. Now, can we give a warm welcome to Ms.
Hello. Hi. Very good afternoon. Thank you for the kind invitation. I'm back here to Tunku College. I was here, I think, 3 years ago. I was at the old building, and it's good to be here at the new building. It's very cantik. Anyway, okay. You know me. My name is Shazwani. You can call me Shaz from Cradle 5. Okay. I have few friends here. Okay, here I know Mr. Rayo. This is the real angel. I am not the angel. This is the real angel. So I have my colleague here from Cradle Fund, Mr. Hafizi out there. Okay, and I also have my friend from MDAC, Miss Jo. Hi. Okay. I've been given 2 topics. One is the funding, and the other one how to. So based on my experience in Cradle, these are the things that could help you to secure angel funding. Okay. So what do we have? All right. So these are the content. The opportunity identification, the customer, the market, the vision and positioning. You need to have this in order for you to get the interest from the outside party, like angels, investor, venture capitalists. Okay? Alright, I'm so nervous when Dr. Ng said this is live. Seriously? I never stand so shy. Alright, so when is an idea an opportunity? Look at this. Okay, according to Timmons, there are 4 anchors that determine a truly good opportunity. They create or add significant value to a customer or end user, and they solve a significant problem or meet significant one for which someone is willing to pay a premium. Alright, before I go to the next slide, any example that really solve our problem? Anything, any product? Anybody? Dr. Ng? Okay, why don't we ask our angel? To you? Could you think anything that really solve our daily life problem? Alright, he's gonna take something out of his pocket. There you go. That's the food. Alright, thank you.
Candy Crush, Candy Crush.
Okay, Candy Crush. Candy Crush. Very good. Let me give you another example. I didn't bring that, but you know the touch and go? Do you have a problem if you don't have the touch and go? Myself, I do have a problem. I go back to PD very frequent every week. So at the Sungai Besi Toll, can you imagine how long is the queue at the cash lane? Simple technology. So it helps you to go faster than anybody. You know, you say, hey, I go first. You say, simple as that. That's a simple technology that we have that really solve our problem. Alright. Okay. Next. Oh, sorry. Okay. The third point. They have robust market, margin, and money-making characteristic. This really can attract the angel. And the last one is they are good fit with the founders and management team. And with the risk or reward balance. So you all get it? This one? Okay? Okay, after I finish, you don't have to remember my face. But remember this, because you got to develop a product, then you need to attract the angel. So think about this, okay? Alright. That must be present for an idea to be an opportunity, customers, the market, the competitive advantage, and the team fit. Factors. You have to have the market, the customer, competitive advantage, the team fit. That is your business attraction. Am I right or not? How is it, Mr. Rayo? Thank you. Okay, so, but first, there must be an idea. What is unique about the idea? Now, we have a lot of things in our to health supplement. Okay, want to be kurus, very slim. We come up with a lot of things, you know. Oh, if you drink this, as an example, you drink this guava juice, it will make you slim tomorrow. Okay. And then this company will say, if you drink my this product A, it will make you slim in 15 hours. So you can say that, you can claim that, but what ingredient, how you sell it? So is it significant? Is there a need for your idea? Is it a proprietary? Can you protect it? Is the idea executable? Okay, think about all this. Okay, the customers. All right, again, we are all customers. We buy. We don't mind spending money if they can actually offer us a good service, a good product. But you got to think, if you are the inventor, you want to invent something, does it really solve a problem? The pain that we have. Okay, think about the pain. How bad is it? How difficult is the problem? Alright, so is there a real customer need? How large is the need? Okay, in Cradle, to be honest with you, I've been with Cradle for close to 5 years. Been to many universities. I'm so nervous. Seriously. I rasa so haus, thirsty. Anyway, I think because of the camera is there. Okay, I've been with Cradle for close to 5 years. Okay, been to a lot of universities. But most of the researchers, the students, they will come to Cradle, they will say this: my product is #1 in the world. I'm the best, nobody developed this is mine. There's no such thing. There is no. Because, first, if you, okay, I'm not a technical person, I can do one thing. This is very simple, and I'm very good at it. I can go on my computer, go type Google. There you go. I find everything. And then that is why your claim is not strong enough to say that your product is #1 in the world. Okay? So you've got to be very careful. So how badly the customer need it? You got to do more research on that. How do you know about this need? Do you have the problem? Okay? Customer. What does it do for the customer? Value proposition, improve profitability, productivity, via branding. Okay. Just now we have a very handsome sir on the two handsome gentlemen on the stage, Mr. Rayo, missed his session, and Mr. IBM. Sorry, I didn't get your name. Anyway, okay. It's all about, develop something that can, help the world. Okay. So you develop something, think whether you can make a profit out of it. The productivity, the branding, you got to sell, your product, you got to sell. You got to find the correct market for it. Okay, the demand. Oh my God, talking about demand. People come to Cradle, sometimes they say, everybody loves my product. They love it. That's why I need the funding. Are you really sure? What are you developing? Sometimes there's no customer demand because that's what people call short sendiri. Sorry, Rayo, I don't know whether you know what is this short sendiri. Can somebody translate short sendiri? So in love with the product, so in love with themselves. Like that. Okay, so don't be short sendiri. Think about, is there a recurring value? Is the irregular? Is there long-term business? Is it just a fad or a trend? Okay? Cool. No customer buy-in means no business opportunity. So before you come to Cradle, think of an idea. Anyway, idea. An idea when you speak, right? But there are certain ideas that we find, right? We find technology ideas innovative and also has the commercial value. So think of an idea, develop a product, but don't short sendiri, in love with the product. You got to see no customer buy-in, no market, no business opportunity. Is that okay now? Yeah? Right. This is an epic example in Malaysia. This is not in Cradle, okay? This is in Malaysia. Do you know what car is this? Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. This is Proton Arena. Do you know what happened to Proton Arena? Okay, why is it epic? Okay. There's a team in Proton. They say, okay, how about we do this? How about we make this stuff? It looks nice. It's like a truck, but it's a half. It's a truck plus Wira car. Truck. Then you see the other one is Wira, right? So this is what happened. When you do things, you don't actually see the market. You don't actually do a research about the demand. I'm not going to buy this car. This is what we call a pickup truck that never picked up. This is the epic example, please. We're not going to be like this. So what happened to this car? It can go solid. It's a loss for Proton. But I'm very sure that Proton don't make a lot of these cars. That one I'm very sure. Okay, so this is the epic example. Always think about this, always remember this when you want to develop something. Go, am I going to Okay, you need to know the market size, the growth, the potential, the opportunity, your business caliber enough to capture its market potential, and the barrier to entry. Okay, the market needs. The needs that unfulfilled, badly served or not being served. What are the gaps in needs? Okay, got to be a very successful to sell your product. Okay, the market strategy, differentiation by product or services, low cost, price differentiation. See all this. You get to see also your competitors. The target market, a large, high growth, high margin market is desirable. Competition. You need to know the competitor knowledge. But some people that come to trader, they say, I don't have a competitor. Because you say, I'm the one, I'm the best in the world, this is the first product in the world. No, you got competitors. If it's not here, it could be somewhere out there. Perhaps in US, in the Europe, the States, or maybe our neighbor, Singapore, right? This, you need to know everything about your competitors. Why they are successful, how they sell it, the strong incumbents, can they easily copy what you was once asked what is the most important thing he looks for when the company. Without hesitation, he replied, sustainable competitive advantage. This you can have in your dream. Okay? Alright, creating a competitive advantage. Reputation or image, Coca-Cola vs Pepsi, quality or product performance, design, iPhone and Motorola. How many people use iPhone in this room? Raise your hand. Oh, you Samsung? We got to beat that. Alright. Okay, do you want to hear a story about Coca-Cola and Pepsi? Just want to share. Okay. There's a very high competition between Pepsi. Alright. So one day, okay, the actual story is, I can't really remember the actual story, so I just make it up a little bit, but the storyline is the same, okay? This is a version of my story. Alright, so one day, they planned to do a survey. So what they did, they put two sides. One is Coca-Cola, one is Pepsi. So, what happened in a small cup, right? Small cup, Coca-Cola and Pepsi. People tend to go to Pepsi. They say less sweet, this, it's very nice, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Okay. So what happened when Coca-Cola got to know about this? Okay. Oh no! How come our Pepsi is better than us? No. Now, because of the survey that they did, the customer said, this is very nice. It tastes better, blah blah blah. So they improvise their recipe, the Coca-Cola recipe. Okay? And what happened after that? People don't actually buy Coca-Cola. You know why? Because Pepsi tastes better in a small cup. Coca-Cola tastes better in a bottle, right? So when they change the recipe, people don't want to buy. They make loss. So no profit for that. Then they learn. what the customer did was what they did when they improvise the recipe is based on the survey, but they don't really drill down saying, oh, they don't see the whole surrounding, what makes people like the Pepsi. Alright? So this is what happened when you try to copy your own competitors. Everybody has their own strength. Right? If you try to copy, it might work for you, it might not work for you. So you got to be very creative in order to sell your product, in order to innovate a new idea, invent a new product. Okay? So it's not really good, my example, but that's the storyline of Coca-Cola and Pepsi. So forgive me. Alright, creating a competitive advantage, but a single factor cannot create a sustainable advantage. Alright, what is your secret sauce? Okay, people come to us to trader, they say, okay, this is my invention. This is my whole life. Okay, I'm giving it to trader. Please don't let other people copy it. Please, please. Well, we want to copy your idea. No, we don't want. Seriously, we don't want it. You know why? Because there are so many hundreds of applications we receive. But what makes you different is because of your secret sauce. I don't know, you do. Okay, I bake, say I put 5 eggs. But Mr. Ray only put 2 eggs. That's why my So that is your secret sauce. Protect it. That's why we have the IP, the intellectual property, and all that to protect it. Positioning. A company's position is how potential buyers see the company. How will your company be positioned? Can you be number 1 or number 2 in your market? Create a dominant position within your niche. So yeah, see, these are the examples how they actually really penetrate and stand strong in the market. Starbucks, American style coffee house. Yeah, we love Starbucks. BMW, driving pleasure. Volvo for the safety. Subway, healthy sandwiches. IKEA, knockdown furniture, Red Bull energy drink. Okay. So, alright, that's about it, about the key attributes. I know I'm not the angel, maybe we can get Mr. Rayo to share how the key points that we look into a product when you come to Trader. It's based on my experience and also my colleagues' experience. So, okay. I've talked about these attributes. How about we go to funding? Do you have any questions? Yeah? No? Okay, thank you. Right, so, no, hold on, I have another slide. I'm not finished yet. It's going to be very fast, don't worry. Oh, can I have someone to help me? Okay. Anything you want to know? No? Ask a question. Otherwise, I'm going to go home after this. Right? The finance side. Okay, don't go. Don't go. Wait until I finish. Alright, so let's be more serious. I'm from Federal again. I'm Shaz. It's good to see all of you. You all look handsome and very pretty. Again, this is live. So, alright. We are the agency and the Ministry of Finance. We give out grants to entrepreneurs and also to the university. The university can be researchers, can be students, and as long as you have a good idea, like I mentioned earlier, you need to have an idea which has the technology elements, innovative, and also has the commercial value. Okay, our mandate is to help you to commercialize your product. So we will start with the 150,000 grant. Okay, so Cradle, catalyzing sustainable technopreneurs. Alright, Cradle funds technology innovation with commercial. My face, don't remember my name. This. Okay, am I that serious? Yeah. Can you see me? Yeah. Okay, good. This is the university funding ecosystem. We know that the university itself, they have the internal grant. There are various internal grant. It's for research and development. Amount could be from 5,000 up to 50,000, depending on the university. Then we also have under MOHI, it's a basic research grant. They call it FRGS, ERGS, or LRGS. Have you heard about this grant before? No? It's okay. Applied research and development. Is fund, no fund. The amount is more than Cradle offer. It's million. Okay. I'm sure you want to go for this one. Million. Okay, so we have the pre-commercialization. This is where Cradle comes in to fill in the gap. We started with the pre-commercialization. We have the UCIP catalyst is meant for all of you, but not Mr. Rayo, not Sir IBM, no. Then we introduced our commercialization grant for CIP 500. It's meant for the startup companies. The amount is 500,000. Okay. Other than Cradle, we have the pre-commercialization grant also offered by MOHI, MTBC. Targeted for the idea birth, design, conceptualization, product prototype, and proof of concept. Whereas for the commercialization, again, it's for the production and commercialization and the market entry. It's meant for you to really market your product. Okay, then we have the last level, which is the growth, expansion, and maturity. This is where you go to the bank or you go to Mr. Rayo for the angel funding. Yeah, I don't worry. Okay, yeah. So this is the actual funding ecosystem for the university. Alright, so what is CIP? Catalyst Investment Program. Malaysia First Development and Early Stage Funding Program. We offer innovators and entrepreneurs not only the fund but the commercialization support, because our mandate by the Ministry of Finance is to help you commercialize your product, to help transform their raw technology-based ideas into commercially viable ventures. Alright, so grant offers under CIP. Alright, this is the first one. It's pre-seed. CIP catalyst. CRP Catalyst and UCRP Catalyst is the same grant, but we divided into two categories. One is for the public and the other one for the university. And for all of you, this is for you, because you basically have the employment contract with the university, right? So university, colleges, RI students up to 150,000 in two tranches. We fund the idea up to a prototype development. Am I clear? I feel like I'm a soldier. Okay. So, seed commercialization. This is meant for the startup company. You need to have a company. It's a Simiran Berahat company. We fund up to 500,000, maximum of 2 approvals, funding of market access, and commercialization for product and services. Well, for the university, if you are keen to apply for this one, the company, we call it a spin-off companies of TAR University College. Alright? Okay, so our development and investment focus. From the pre-seed have the idea in your dream, then come to Cradle, you do a proof of concept or prototype development. For the seed, it's from the prototype development up to a commercialization of the product or services. Alright, is that clear? So it's best funding the idea, the prototype development, and the commercialization. Okay? Alright, so remember this: CRP Catalyst, UCRP Catalyst, and CRP 500. Alright, this is the focus. Again and again, it's about technology innovation. Looking at the 3 boxes, don't worry if your product, the idea that you have doesn't belong in one of the boxes. As long as when you come to Cradle, you have the technology elements, the idea consists of the technology element, we will consider it. We started funding the ICT earlier on, but later we have expanded to 9 ICT and also ideas. So these are the industry. You can see. Alright, who are eligible to apply for CIP? For pre-seed, all of you, any team of individuals which meets the below criteria is a Malaysian aged 18 years and above. Male applicant is permanently residing in Malaysia, minimum of 2 applicants and maximum of 5 applicants per application. That's for Catalyst and UCRP Catalyst. Alright, this is the allowable expenditure. We do give out a reasonable allowance for the project team members. Materials, tool, equipment, personnel purchase, IT search, product testing, product marketing, subsidy or lab rental. Okay, between the CRP Catalyst and UCRP Catalyst, I love UCRP Catalyst recipient. I've been doing talk to our university, and I think research is level. I think. I'm not really sure, but I think. Okay. The difference between UCRP Catalyst and CRP Catalyst, the tripartite agreement, 3 parties. We have Cradle, we have the team, and we also have the university. The reason why, whereas for CRP Catalyst, it's only 2 parties, the team and Cradle. But for the university, the reason why we include the university, because, for example, myself and Mr. Rayo, okay, together, we are a team, okay, and I say, hey, Let's go to Cradle. Okay, we are students of, okay. Then we decided to apply for Cradle. Then suddenly, me and him say, after we received the first funding, I say, hey, let's go. Okay, we run away. Then, do you think that Cradle can finance? Do you think so? No, Cradle cannot finance. But Cradle can go to the university. And the researchers and the university carry the same liability. So we can catch. We can get the university. Right? I don't know. That's why we include the university in our agreement, because we want the university also the public entrepreneurs. They want to rent an office. They have to pay. But for you, you can actually use the university facilities. And the other thing is the IP belongs to the university. That's for the public university, but I'm not sure about the private uni. Alright, so that's about it. Haha, finish. I'm done. This is my last presentation. That's the last slide. So, if you want to contact me, you are welcome to contact me. I'm not going to share Mr. Rayo's number, but it's 497. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for staying throughout the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Saswani. President Dr. Ng Swee Chin to present a souvenir to Ms. Saswani as a token of appreciation. Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Ng and Ms. Saswani. It is indeed happy to note that there are so many available fundings and grants to support people with innovative ideas as long as the business plan is solid. Ladies and gentlemen, talking about innovative ideas, many some have heard about patent. It's actually about, can we patent everything under the sky? Mr. Teo Chi Hui is a PhD candidate at Utah. He is a senior member of IEEE USA and a member of IET UK. He has 15 years of instructional experience and 10 years of industrial experience. He has filed patent in Singapore and Malaysia as well. He is the winner of Wind River System Prize in 1997 and is involved in the publications with the topic Victim Localization System using Hybrid Radio Signal Sources for Indoor and Outdoor Disaster. Let's put our hands together to welcome Mr. Teo to give his talk.
Okay, Mr. Rayo, Mr. Long, and Ms. Shashwani, and myself. Being the last is always pretty hard, right? Because not only that I have to run the marathon continuously, but the challenge is to keep you all awake. All right, that's my challenge. and that's my mission now. All right. So anyway, most of you have heard about patent before, right? A lot of people thought that patent is something that's luxurious, very expensive, unnecessary, and most of all, a waste of time, right? So you may have that kind of misconception. That's the only way you can protect your secret recipe. Think about this. If, let's say, Colonel Sanders didn't patent and didn't perform a trademark registration for his KFC until now, what will happen? Aha. Maybe some of you have been to China before. You have seen a logo called Li Xiansheng. Similar, right? Okay. Now you know patent is pretty important because it represents something, an entity, or let's say a secret recipe. So, without further ado, I would like to talk firstly about the innovation process. Was born, we come up with a lot of creativities, like including in the 15th century. This was an idea from Leonardo da Vinci. You heard about that before, right? From Da Vinci's era, the glider, 15th century. So the glider, during that time, they thought of, okay, flying like a bird, free. And how was that relate to the modern world glider? You can see the analogy, but it has improved so much, right? But during that time, for you to register to something that can represent some innovation, and obviously a glider is, right? So this is not the only one of the outrageous one from Leonardo da Vinci. Have a look at this. Okay, this was version 0.1 of a helicopter. During that time, Leonardo da Vinci thought of creating a flying machine. And that flying machine was powered by, you know what? Horses running in circle. All right, you may think that this is outrageous, right? But this was his idea during that time. Machine with rotor, and finally, it became reality, right? Somebody perfected the skill, all right? So from that onwards, you notice that there comes a lot of invention, right? There are more and more inventions coming in, and we have difficulty to follow and even to recognize who's first, who's next, who's last, right? I'm last, of course, right? Because I'm the last one to present, all right? So there are so many numerous inventions now, there's always a need for us to document it. And what are the process? Okay, here we go. So for today, I'm going to talk about what is patent, what is what are the things that can be patented, what are the things that cannot be patented, as well as how long is the patent protection, right? And of course, how to start applying for that patent. And I have the honor to apply in Singapore and Malaysia. I've just got my patent granted in Singapore, right? Only last month, all right? But the process of application of patent is always pretty unpredictable because you've got to go through long rounds of defense, right? Respond to the query from the examiner, all right? And of course, after that, what is the total cost of applying for a patent? I think this is of interest to most of you, right? You'll be surprised to find that Malaysia, cost of applying for a patent is very cheap, but towards 20 years later, you might prefer Singapore, as we shall see later. That is true. I can show you the figures afterwards, then you'll be able to compare why is it so, all right? And the next question is that because we are technical people, right? Technical people doesn't write very good sentences, especially in the legal terms, right? And you don't know what is basically the legal terms that is used to describe some of the things. Like for example, in patent application, many times we have to talk about inventive steps. what are the inventive steps. So of course, during this particular seminar, I won't be able to go through all with you, but if there is a need, I can do some workshops so that you are familiar with the terminologies and what to do, right? And what if, let's say, you need to defend your patent, all right? Then we need to go through a patent agent. A patent agent is just like a lawyer. They'll charge you a lot. In fact, some people say that. Yeah, to a certain extent it's true, but they have to do the job for you, right? To make sure that you comply with the Patent Act requirements and so forth. And finally, we have a question. Do we need to maintain a patent for a long time? We shall see later, right? When we look at how much exclusive right to use the technology that you have actually devised, then of course you judge on yourself, right? Then finally we have some Q&A if there is time. So the first question comes in our minds: what is a patent? Patent, as defined, is an exclusive right granted for an invention which is either a process, that new way of doing something. It has to be new, okay, novel, or it offers a new technical solution to a problem. So that is the first thing that an invention must always be, right? And then an invention is a solution to a specific technological problem and is a product or a process. You cannot patent just a simple idea, like let's say, I have this crazy idea of doing a resort. Then can I patent it? No, because later on you see the requirements, okay? So patent is defined as a product or process that has already been reduced to a material form. Okay, it is something that is concrete. You can see the steps of doing it. And how is your step different from others? Of course, this you've got to justify, right? And in contrary with the for so-called, there's another category which is slightly more relaxed called the utility innovation. So this utility innovation is basically a toned down version of a patent, right? A utility innovation is an exclusive right granted for a minor invention, like for example, if you have devised something, technologies, right? I've shown some example here, right? And then this type of minor invention which does not satisfy the test of inventiveness as required of a patent can actually be patented under utility innovation. And example will be, for example, how many of you are using wireless IP camera? Right? Wireless IP camera. So it's a combination of camera and then wireless technology as well as internet protocol or your wireless communication. If you combine this together, it becomes a utility innovation. Right? So that is the second category. In Malaysia, in fact, we can file for this as well. Then who can apply for a patent? Well, it has to be someone alive, but the patent can be assigned to a person, or any person may make an application for a patent for utility innovation, either alone or jointly with another person. So that is to say, person. All right? Now you get the idea. Then the word person is not limited to a natural person, and plus it will include, for example, a company. Right? So it can be patented. This is important. Many people have misconception. I want to patent this, can or not? Let's have a look. So to be able to patent something, it must be, first of all, new. Something that people who are good in this area, expert in this area, cannot think that it's an obvious method, right? So it has to be something not obvious, right? Which means that the invention has not been publicly disclosed in any form, anywhere in the world. And next, it involves, we must have inventive steps, and it must not be obvious to someone with knowledge and experience in the technological field of the invention. And finally, it has to be industrially applicable. When it comes to your patent examination, you are going to show you the report afterwards of mine. They will validate you against these three, right? Whether it is industrially applicable, involves inventive steps, or it is novel or new, right? Then Okay, what are the things that are not patentable? Firstly, ideas, opinions, or thoughts, because it is not yet reduced to something concrete. For example, I have an idea to create, let's say, a resort that hangs mid-air, but that is just a rough idea, a sketch. A sketch also cannot be patented, right? So a discovery, a scientific theory, and mathematical methods cannot be patented. Sorry, anyone from maths? Anyone from maths here? So sorry to say, theories, they cannot. Then plant process for the production of plants or animals, including, let's say, your hydroponic or whatever, cannot be patented, right? And then whether it's human or biology or animals or any biological process, microorganism, the same. Then the next one, schemes, rules, or methods for doing business. But let's say you are doing a direct selling scheme, can you patent it? No, right? The answer is no. And can we patent the software for direct? Depending on your software process, right? But not the method, right? Not the schemes, not the rules. So the methods for the treatment of human or animal body by surgery or therapy, for example, let's say you have devised a new method of that cannot be patented as well, right? So is that okay for you? So luckily, most of those in IT, especially those who are doing software, you can actually go for software copyright protection. So a copyright protection is different from a patent because a copyright protection will protect basically any literary work, including software, including, let's say, music, including video, including, let's say, recordings, and of course any derivatives from it. That is covered as long as it's reduced to material form, right? Okay, so why should we patent inventions? A lot of people say, waste of time, waste of money, right? How much are we going to waste? Later on we shall see, right? A patent or utility innovation protection gives the owner of the patent or utility innovation the exclusive right. People to do KFC, right? And if there's KFC all over the whole world, it has to be belonging to you, right? So that's why you need something like that. Even for the patent itself, let's say the technology that you have devised, you want it to be exclusive to you so that because you spend your hard work, you are able to reap the benefits out of it, right? So next, you have the exclusive right to stop others from manufacturing, using, or selling your invention in Malaysia without the owner's consent or permission. Of course, you can always assign your patent to someone, right? And there's a worldwide protection also. It's not just Malaysia. There's this worldwide body called worldwide patent, and those signatories of the patent, so-called the PCT, they are able to be protected in those signatory countries. So far there's a worldwide protection, but when you apply for it, it's going to be more expensive than applying locally, right? So we'll discuss this in the workshop if there is a need, okay? And, okay, coverage. How long is the patent coverage? Normally, a patent will be covered for 20 years, but the initial ones will be 10 for utility innovation, renewable for another 2 subject to review. After 10 years, you apply for extension for 5 years and another 5 years. But for patent, it is directly 20 years. From the date of filing, okay? When you file a patent, how long does it take to be approved? That depends, okay? That depends. The fastest will be around 3 years, right? The slowest, depending on the complexity, maybe more years to go, right? Some may drag until 6 or even 7 years, right? And some even give up halfway, all right? So apart from this type of protection, what else? Okay, see, well, actually you can protect your logo or trademark. You can protect your industrial design. Industrial design, designs that are related to the industry. For example, if you design a grill, certain type of grill or certain type of connector that is industry applicable, that cannot be an innovation, but it can be protected under industrial design. Like for example, a hinge, or let's say your door knob and so on, that can be protected. Okay. Then we have geographical indication, that is to indicate something like, for example, okay, something that's made locally. The techniques and so on. Okay, so that is under geographical indication. For those who are in electronics, microelectronics and so on, your circuitry can be protected under IC layout design. And you can see the number of years of protection is given is quite long, right? 10 renewable or up to 15, right? And then copyright. Malaysia's Copyright Act is automatic. So a lot of people say, software, do you need to protect? Well, by right, it's automatic, but you've got to have some evidence to say that that's the time that patent, especially copyright suit, then you need to prove the time where you have conceived the idea as well as when it is materialized, right? Okay, so these are other protections. What cannot be patented? Okay, so we have already mentioned that. Remember that the first step to do patenting is to get your idea, everything clear, and put it in a step-by-step process. If you don't put it in a step-by-step process, you won't be able to write the patent document. And to do that, we have to write in a prescribed format. I'll show you the format later, which is quite scary because it's quite lengthy. And you have to follow precisely the format because they have this formality check. You check your format, make sure that you conform to the format before they accept your application, right? And what are not accepted? You cannot put in photos. You cannot use hand sketches. Hand sketches normally are discouraged unless you use a very clear drawing, right? Drawing is okay, but sketches, like let's say all those scribbles and so on, are not accepted. Not like Leonardo da Vinci, okay? This is not something that you can do like that, right? And then audio recordings, no way. Video recordings also, no. Okay, so everything must be documented on paper when you want to apply for a patent. So far, any questions? Right, okay. So then, after that, Malaysia's patent application, you can see from top down to bottom. Unfortunately, it's not so clear. The first step, when you supply your application, that is going to cost you about 290 ringgit. Then, after that, you will be issued a date of filing within 2 weeks. And followed by that, you can enter for preliminary examination. Okay, so when it's after preliminary examination, then you would have cleared the formality, right? So that will be the stages. Disclosure within 18 months from the priority date of filing. Before that, it's not open for public inspection. So it's only after 18 months. Then you see any objection onto your patent within 18 months. Then finally, after 18 months, then you are allowed to submit for substantive examination. That means to do a rigorous. So that will cost you 1,100 in Malaysia, right? If you need to revise, you've got to add further 640, right? If you have submitted that, then your patent application will go into substantive examination stage. And you are given 2 months to submit any corrections every time. Once you have submitted this, so this will be in a loop, right? The longest time that you're going to spend is over here, this loop. Depends on how many times you have this adverse report. If you have more adverse report, you've got to spend more time, right? Until when the examiner is satisfied, then they will issue you with a certificate of grant. And after the certificate of grant is issued, it will be gazetted into the patent register, and that's the complete process. If not, then you probably have to either withdraw, refuse, or if there's any appeal cases, you can appeal to the intellectual property court, right? And fortunately, in Malaysia, there's an expedited approach now. Last time, you have to follow this, right? It takes a long time. There's an amendment on the Patent Act now. We can actually go for the so-called fast lane. This is the fast lane where you can launch the request for approval of expedited examination by using not Form 5 but 5H with everything plus 250. That's after your 18 months. Then the registrar's decision for the expedited examination will. Then you can launch a request for expedited examination. The cost is almost double, 2002, right? Double of that 1001 there. And then finally, your final check will be the formality check until it's granted. So if you count the number of weeks, this will be the faster way, right? But the 18 months is still a mandatory requirement, right? After you file in with the date of filing, 18 months of waiting, 1.5 years, before they will grant you a chance to file for the substantive know whether there's any objection, right, onto your patent application. So 18 plus another 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. That means another 2 months, right? Altogether, this will be just 20 months before you can get yours, right? So that's the ideal case. In Singapore, everything is well documented. They have very strict deadlines. You can see that for Singapore, the deadlines are shown on the left-hand side here, right? Within 15 days, they will issue you an acknowledgement letter, and within 2 to 4 years, they have to complete all this process and give you your relevant search report within 4 years. No more, no less, right? And then the issuance will be within about 2 months, right? 2 months for the issuance, and finally you get a certificate of grant. Okay, so this process, if you need some guidance, you can come to me. I'll tell you what to do, right? Because fortunately, in Malaysia and in Singapore, you can now do the registration of a patent online, right? Prior to this, it's not available online. You have to physically go there, register for an e-account, and then you have to use that terminal, which is pretty slow, in fact, right? And you have to get a so-called use it. Right. How long is the duration from filing to final grant? As I mentioned to you, minimum will be 2 years after your filing, 15 days to get your preliminary examination report. Then request for substantive examination will be 18 months later. Certificate of grants, 2 months. Substantive examination, only 2 to 4 years, but can be more, right? Expect further delay if there are any extra adverse report. If the examiner is not clear about what you wrote, as I mentioned to you, most of us can write very good essays, but we don't write it in legal terms, right? Some of the words may be ambiguous. Okay, the said invention, they have to use this word. You can say, my invention. You have to use the said invention can do this or can do that, right? And we claim such and such, right? The claim has to be, okay, like what I say just now, from head to toe, 1 sentence. You can say the claim is, okay, you can do this. Paragraph 2 can do this. Paragraph 3 can do this. No. 1 paragraph, everything, your claim. Right? And then finally, this will be the cost. Maybe this is a bit difficult to see, right? I'll show you a better way to see it. First year, application filing, you would get Form 1. And then the application fee is only 290. Anyone can do that, right? Then substantive examination after 1.5 years, 1001. If you need to modify anything, you add another 640 on top of the 1001. Then the grant is only when your certificate is out, when they issue you a letter of report saying that your formalities are all clear, right? So the total for the first year until grant is 1,430. Right? So let's go on. First year, 1,400. Fee of 1,560. So you add up. Right? So third year, fourth year, and so on. You can see that if you want to maintain your patent for longer time, you have to fork out more money. Why is that so? Because you need to protect your intellectual property, right? And because you're going to get back the profit from the registration of your patent. If it's not going to be profitable, you might want to consider selling it off, which is possible. There are companies that buy patent as well, right? There are companies that will basically try to commercialize patent as well. If you have approached the right people, okay, like Mr. Ayo, okay, then you'll be able to spin off from there, right? But all in all, after 10 years, you'll be spending like 32,000. Then another 20 years, then 93,220. Scary figure, right? But if you can make it up to 20 years, I guess you'll be millionaires or billionaires, right? So you wouldn't bother, you wouldn't mind this figure of 193,000, right? Okay? And in contrast, in Singapore, because this is a bit too formal, the application is only 160 Sing dollar for PF1. Then if you need to file for a certificate, it's 200 Sing dollar. Substantive examination is way more expensive than ours, right? But there is a benefit. Later we shall see. 2,600 when you submit the PF11 after 1.5 years. Then if you need to do a supplementary research, to know the figure, just multiply by 2.56, something like that, right? So then you'll be able to know the fee that you spend for the first year, 2,960, right? And up to the 4th year is 2,960, right? And the subsequent years, the Singapore patent is so cheap for every annual renewal. Alright, so that's why a lot of people would prefer to patent in Singapore, because the subsequent years they are cheaper. But the initial fees that you pay is 2,960 Sing dollar, which is very heavy, right? Multiply by 2.5 or 2.6, you get the idea. Alright? Then towards the end, after 10 years, it's only about 4,000 Sing dollar. About 20 years later, it costs about 9,250 Sing dollar, right? And it's not as expensive as after 20 years in Malaysia. And further, in Singapore, after that, for every subsequent year after the 20th year, by paying 950, right? So it's still renewable after 20 years in Singapore. So every country will have different patent and copyright laws. And you know, in Singapore, the price is cheaper based on this list that I've shown to you. So that's why sometimes you might want to consider filing in Singapore, just because of the maintenance of it is cheaper, right? And the good thing is that nowadays there's this patent cooperation treaty, the PCT. Those signatories, especially for the South Asian countries, whenever you register in one country, good enough for us. And do we need a patent agent? Somehow, not mandatory, but advised, because there are many legal terminologies that has to be incorporated into your claim. And a bit of warning, when you go for a legal advisor or those patent agent, normally they'll give you a fee structure. After they have submitted this document, how much you need to add it up together. Don't think that you are going to start and stop halfway. No, right? It has to be continuous, right? So the normal ones will cost about tens of thousands for them to help you to supply your application, and for those more complicated ones, you can go up to hundreds of thousands, right? And you're likely going to spend double your time because with those non-technical people. Right? I'm a technical guy, so I have non-technical people with me as well, and when you talk to them, you know, right, got to repeat, tell them how this thing works until they are able to write it. Okay? Then finally, do we need to maintain the patent for a long time? Based on the price of maintenance, where is the best place for you to start and stop? Or maybe you want to sell off your idea. An invention can be sold off, right? Don't think that invention, after your patent process, you can just keep it in yourself. No, it can be sold off. and can be used for some other purposes, like assigned to another company that can actually be able to mass produce, right? So you just assign your patent, and that is of course going to generate some income to you. And patents can also be purchases. There are also people who buy patents and sell patents online nowadays, right? Okay, so any questions? That is just the beginning, right? Patenting is something that is quite challenging because you have to really go through the industrial, and this is the acid test of the industry, right? Although a lot of people say that your secret recipe you need not or you should not expose or disclose it to the general public because you are afraid that people will copy yours, right? But if you don't have that piece of paper able to defend your invention, right? When it comes to that is the only recognized format. And I will share with you one particular note that IPO Singapore. So this is the letter from them, and you can see, right? If you have got a grant, they will say very specifically, the examination report for this application has been established, and a copy of it attached, okay? And then they will give you an attention that says, okay, your attention is drawn to the provision of the Patents Act and Patents Rules for further proceeding in relation to this application. In particular, you can now proceed to file a request for issuance of a certificate of grant. Then you are safe. Before that, it is not considered as concrete until they establish the examination report. In Singapore, they don't do the patent validation on their own. They send it to Austrian Patent Office. Austria, not Malaysia. Huh? They send it to Austria, so that's why it's faster, right? You'll be surprised that the patent that I filed in Malaysia is still not out, but in Singapore, it's so smooth because they have experts and they get help from the whole globe, right? Not just Malaysian. Very much on the formality, I can tell you that. After you clear all your substantive examination, they will still come back with a report saying that your non-conformance is because of formality. Okay, this is something surprise. But anyway, that could happen, but it's not really a scary thing. So I hope this will give you some idea. The most important thing is that separately, you may be interested to know that the Intellectual Property Office of Singapore has established work sharing programs with the IP offices in US, Japan, Korea under the Patent Prosecution Highway, PPH, right? And also, as well as the IP offices of 8 Asian countries, namely Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines. So therefore, filing in Singapore is the same as filing in Malaysia, right? Okay, so I hope I've briefed you enough about the process, but actually it's quite challenging, right? I know that to keep you awake, this is not something that is very simple, right? So I used to have late classes as well, and this thing is quite challenging. I hope that's all that I have to share with you. If there's a need for you to know more, feel free to contact me. I hope to be able to conduct some workshops for you with all the hands-on the paperwork, right? Okay, that's all that I have to share with you. And thank you very much, and have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Teo. We would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Ng Swee Chin to present a souvenir to Mr. Teo as a token of appreciation. Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Ng and Mr. Teo. It is a great sharing sessions from Mr. Teo to learn why and we patented to protect our ideas. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusions, today we have covered a few important areas for those who have passions in becoming entrepreneur. Do's and don'ts to be a successful entrepreneur. Technology support program, in this case IBM Global Entrepreneurship Program. Key attributes to attract angels and investors. Patents. If any of you would like to take one step forward towards entrepreneurial journey, please feel free to tap on our IBM-FASC Entrepreneurial Support Center, which was officially launched today. You can contact Ms. Lim at limms@allianceacd.tar.edu.my, or myself, tosb@allianceacd.tar.edu.my, to know more about the facilities and services provided by the center. Well, we have come to the end of today's event. I hope that you have enjoyed the event. On behalf of Tar University College, we would like to thank all of your kind presence here today. Thank you.